guys, it's your girl M Money DH and I'm back with a new video. Thank you so much for the response to my last video. I feel like it's one of my most viewed videos on my channel so far. You know, my channel's a small one, but I really do appreciate all my subscribers and everyone who viewed the last video, because I know I'm not consistent on YouTube, but I feel like if there's a topic that is important or something important that I want to share with you guys, I will hop back on YouTube, and that's what I've done. So I want to say a big thank you to everybody who tuned in, and I will definitely try my best to help whenever I can. So today this video is going to be called How to Buy a House. Obviously that's a very broad term, but I'm going to kind of explain the steps that practical steps that you would need to take, and also the steps that I took to get my own place. So I hope you find this helpful, and please stay tuned. So yeah. Okay, so I'm going to be going through about 4 to 5 steps, practical steps that you need to take in order to get to the final stage, or actually, you know, get to completion and pick up your keys and post your key post or your kitchen counter post, whichever one you want to do. But I'm gonna give you guys the tea, show you how you can do it too, because we don't gatekeep home ownership around here. We don't gatekeep generational wealth around here. No, I'm just playing. Step 1, the first thing that you will need to do, you'll kind of need to, so I'm gonna merge these 2 steps into one. The first thing that you would need to, what I would personally advise, is to get a mortgage broker. So the reason why you'll need to get a mortgage broker is because this is a brand new thing. Your mortgage broker will give you the correct advice on what steps to take, and they will do certain things for you. For example, your mortgage broker will apply for your mortgage for you, because something like applying for a mortgage can affect your credit file, and that will be on your credit file for the foreseeable future. I think 6 months, or maybe sometimes more, I'm not too sure, but I know definitely up to 6 months. If you apply for a mortgage, it stays on your credit file, and it's a hard search, and God forbid you don't get approved for that mortgage. So this is why it's kind of a no-brainer to get a mortgage broker, because they will tell you what to do. They will apply for your mortgage for you, and yeah, it's just a lot more easier. This is a brand new world, especially if you're a first-time buyer like I was. You kind of need a mortgage broker. There are different types of mortgage brokers. Some of them charge, some of them don't charge, but in my experience, the ones that charge take you more seriously, and they treat you better, and they walk with you step by step. Get yourself a mortgage broker. That mortgage broker will get you something called a mortgage in principle. So your mortgage in principle basically says how much you're potentially going to be lent. So when you have your mortgage broker will discuss with you your salary, your affordability. Your mortgage broker will discuss to you how much is likely that you're going to be lent by the bank or your mortgage lender. So your mortgage broker basically advises and explains to you everything that you probably didn't know or wouldn't know on your own. So your mortgage broker, well, this is what happened for me, so I should stop speaking like it's general. My mortgage broker got me something called a mortgage in principle, and in simple terms, that's just a dummy mortgage document that basically kind of says that you've been provisionally approved your mortgage. Obviously it's not definite, but it's provisionally. So what your mortgage in principle does, well, what it did for me was that when I reached out to estate agents and I told them I was interested in properties, it made them take me seriously. Because if I went to estate agent and said, oh yeah, I want to buy this house, they're going to be like, okay, where's your mortgage in principle? And if you're like, oh, I don't have one, they're going to be like, well, you're very serious, aren't you? So you need to get a mortgage broker They're your advisor, your hold my hand, and then your mortgage broker will give you a mortgage in principle. So once you have your mortgage in principle, you can start viewing properties. So step 2, view properties. Think about your budget, think about your location, think about all the things that you want in your dream home. One piece of advice I will give you is that, if anything, your first home does not need to be your dream home. I know a lot of people want to make their first home their dream home, and if you have the means to do that, that's absolutely amazing. So do that. Like, if you're in a position where you can get your 5-bedroom mansion as your first home, more power to you. Teach me. I'm gonna be watching your YouTube video. But if not, all hope is not lost. Like, in my head, it's called the property ladder for a reason. And you don't step on the first step of the ladder and you stop there. It's a process. So don't worry about it being the perfect property. With that being said, that doesn't mean you need to buy that doesn't mean you need to buy in like a degenerated area, or you need to buy like the worst type of property ever. In everything, balance is key. It's needed. So don't worry about your home being your first home being your dream home. But I've heard of some crazy cases where some people go with the first property that they view. To me, that's absurd, because I viewed, how many properties did I view? I feel like I probably viewed about 6, maybe 6, between 5, 6 or 7 properties I viewed, and I changed my mind 3 different times, and I went with the 3rd property. It took me, the whole process from searching to picking up the keys took me a whole 11 months. So you can imagine. Started viewing properties in May, finalized on the property that I wanted in December, completed in April. So it's a process, it's a journey. Don't try and rush it. Right? But anyway, I digress. Step number 2, start viewing properties. You know all the factors and all the important things that you're looking for in your first home. Maybe it needs to have a garden, maybe it needs to have a garage, maybe there needs to be parking, maybe it needs to be close to the stations, accessible, good transport links. Maybe you want a house and not a flat, maybe you want semi-detached, maybe you know what it is you're looking for in your first home. I would definitely advise you to read up the difference between a leasehold property and a freehold property. Most of the times flats are leasehold and houses are freehold. However, that's not a hard fast rule. You will definitely need to check the property and find out about leasehold and freehold and which one the property is. Also, Rightmove and Zoopla are amazing places to look for properties, and I found my property on Rightmove. There are so many important or so many helpful things on Rightmove. For example, property sale history. So how much the properties are going for in the area, or how much the property was sold for 20 years ago. So you can see how it's appreciated, or if the that property in particular, or properties around the area, have depreciated. These are really important things. There's also the mortgage calculator. So you could see like a rough estimate on the interest rates, and also a rough estimate on how much your monthly repayments might be. There's so many interesting things on Rightmove especially that you can look into. It also has, the nearest stations. Rightmove has that, and how far they are. So just really take your time and start looking at the properties you want. I personally am a sucker for Rightmove because Rightmove is so helpful in my opinion. Toggle around with the filters. The filters was amazing for me. If you want a new home, if you want a house with a garden, if you don't want to see retirement properties, because I definitely didn't want to see it, you can filter all of those out. So Rightmove, amazing. So yeah, definitely take your time. When you do go for these viewings, ask your estate agent vital questions. What's the area like? You can check things like the crime rate in the area, different things. Just, don't go there like acting like a novice. Just get as much information as you can. This is important. This is a life-changing decision. This is probably, if you have money to buy your home cash down, amazing. If you're going to be paying a mortgage, understand that you're going to be doing this for a minimum of 25 years of your life. So it needs to be a decision that you're not going to regret like anytime soon. So if at all. So yeah, that's step 2, looking for your properties. So after you've decided, okay, I love this home, this is the one I want to buy, you place your offer. Now, when you do place your offer, start your offer low. That's one thing I learned. And it was a bit different because for me, I used Help to Buy equity loan. And for some reason, I was under the impression, well, when I found my now apartment, I was under the impression, because I was using Help to Buy equity loan, that I couldn't like make an offer lower than the asking price. Till now, I don't really know if that's true or not. But when I was looking for other properties before I found out about Help to Buy, I was making offers lower than the asking price. And the reason why it's important to start low is because if you start too high, you can't make an offer lower than that. But if you make an offer lower than the asking price, it gets declined, you can make an offer higher than that. Like, you can keep making high offers. But if you make it too high, you can't make it lower. You feel me? So, yes. Now, put your offer in, and by God's grace, your offer is accepted, and now it's time to go for this dream home of yours. So in my instance, my mortgage application wasn't put through until the very last minute. So my mortgage application wasn't put through in the early stages, because bear in mind, my mortgage broker did everything. I've also forgot to add that there are mortgage brokers that are tailored to your specific needs. Whatever your personal financial circumstance is, there are mortgage brokers that are available to various circumstances. So look into that. My mortgage broker was tailored to my own personal needs, which also affected how much I paid for my mortgage broker. So anyway, my mortgage application wasn't put through until the very last stage. I can't remember precisely when, but I do remember that my offer had been accepted by my developers, the estate agent and developers. My offer had been accepted, and then I believe my mortgage application was put through, which was obviously successful. And that's another thing, your mortgage broker will see the likelihood of your mortgage being accepted. It's your mortgage broker's duty to pair you with mortgages that they know will be successful. If, God forbid, your mortgage application gets declined, why is your mortgage broker there? Like, what did they really do? So at this stage, you need to find yourself a conveyancing solicitor. So this is step 3. You need to find yourself a conveyancing solicitor and potentially a surveyor, but I don't know much about the surveying process because that was something that my mortgage broker did. So your conveyancing solicitor is the person that does the whole conveyancing process, which is they do the water checks, they do the land checks, they do all these extra checks. It's been actually a year now since those checks were through. So it will be your solicitor that is directly in contact with the property solicitor. So I remember having a lot of delay because the solicitor of my apartment block was writing out all the contracts for every flat. So it took a month just to get the conveyancing process on the go. So the conveyancing process should take anything from 2 to 4 months. There's various checks that happen, and yeah. So Step 3 is to get your solicitor, and the solicitor that I used was the recommended solicitor by the estate agent that I was working with, that was in charge of the property that I eventually bought. So make sure your conveyancing solicitor is tried and tested and reliable, and yeah. Conveyancing prices usually range between 2,000 upwards. Just for transparency, I'm not transparent with all my figures, but I paid 2,500 for my conveyancing solicitor, just to give you a rough idea. So when you speak to a lot of people who have bought property, the most frustrating people in the whole process is your solicitor. My solicitor did my head in. I literally had to chase them up every single day. And to a point, it started to become like, wait, am I receiving a free service? No, I'm not. I'm paying for the service, yes. Yet, I'm the one having to chase you up every day. Fair enough, you have hundreds, maybe thousands of clients, but this is a service I'm paying for. Why am I having to chase you up every day to find out that you're doing what I've paid you to do? So, step number 3, conveyancing solicitor. So after the whole conveyancing process, they've done all the necessary, your conveyancing solicitor has done all the necessary checks and everything. Something happens called the exchange of contracts. Now, the exchange of contracts isn't to be mistaken for the completion. You don't pick up your keys at the exchange of contract, but the exchange of contracts means that you cannot look back now. Once you've exchanged contracts, you are legally bound. So this is step number 4, exchange of contracts. Once you've exchanged contracts, you are now legally bound to buy the house. And if you don't buy the house, you stand to be fined. Also, the exchange of contracts is when you pay your 5, 10, 15, 20, however much amount deposit you have. The exchange of contracts is when you put down your deposit. Now, if for any reason you change your mind, you will stand to be fined and you will lose your deposit potentially. So exchange of contracts is a big deal because it means now I actually have to go through with this home. So you have to make sure that your decision is, the right one. I hear in some cases, some people do completion and exchange of contracts on the same day, but when it was my turn, that was not recommended at all. So I believe my completion wasn't until 2 weeks after exchange of contracts. Now, also, may I add that my process, I'm explaining the general steps to you, but my process was a lot more detailed and there was a lot more stages because I was using Help to Buy equity loan. So I had things such as authority to exchange, authority to proceed. I had to get authority from the government at every single stage. However, I feel like that information may not be so useful because Help to Buy equity loan ends in March and the deadline for applications were back in October. So Help to Buy equity loan is pretty much done now. I digress. So basically, step number 4 is exchanging contracts. And then once you've exchanged contracts, I also add, it's your solicitor who then transfers the funds to the developer or the owner of the property of which you're buying. Completion can be anything from a week to 28 days after exchange of contracts. There's a lot of stuff that need to happen or could potentially happen. So give yourself enough time and give yourself a good gap between exchange and completion. Like I said, it took me 2 weeks between exchange and completion, and I picked up my keys 2 weeks after. So after you've exchanged your contracts, you can breathe easy, you've paid your deposit. Also, I believe somewhere between exchange and completion, you pay your solicitor the full balance, because usually you pay a deposit down to get the ball rolling, for them to, get everything on the go. Then between exchange and completion, your solicitor will take the full balance. Usually, if you had a mortgage broker, I remember paying my mortgage broker a lot earlier. I paid my mortgage broker just before they processed my mortgage application, just for a bit of insight on that. So yeah, after all of that is done, then you know your official date, which you should have chosen to pick up your keys, is then agreed on, and then on that specific day you pick up your keys. So I'm trying to remember if there's anything I forgot. I hope that I explained that in the best way possible. I will always make more videos going into more depth if you need me to. I hope I've covered on everything. Thank you so much for rocking with me, riding with me. I'm learning so much along the way, even though I've almost been a homeowner for almost a year, believe it or not. There's still so much I'm still learning. So I'll probably come at you guys with a new video sometime soon, but thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've learned something new in this video, and I hope that, you know, yeah, we can learn from each other, I guess. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.